road, 188th Street, actually split. It's designed to split at Horizon Trail. So it's not just designed to serve traffic from the south or from that direction, but also from the north. If you look at the plan, the comprehensive plan, it still shows that road configuration. That's partly the purpose of this additional study of the road network, to see how to provide traffic, how to provide access to the north and northwest.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily a wasted road. It hasn't been completed, and yes, the realignment of 191st Street did not happen the way it was planned for various reasons, and none of us were here.
So why did you build that road? Why did you pay to build that road?
You built it, you put us in an improvement district, and we got to pay the assessments.
But, I mean, you knew that was going to happen.
It was,
right?
It was a, yeah, well, yes. But you know what, at the time, collectively, ownership, you know, at the time, that's a public street system. We've got roads here, we're paying for that. We're gonna access private drives out to a public street system that's gonna have plenty of capacity. Thus, nobody at the podium going, why are you assessing me? We took our assessment, and we paid them. And I'm not saying previous configuration paid them timely, but we got them paid since I've taken over.
So the Horizon Trail apartment complex, that's not you at all. That's a whole other. But you're saying they benefited from that road?
Oh, directly.
Oh, yeah, it's a...
But
now, how much?
the people that develop Horizon Trails are still benefiting.
And how much, I'm just curious, how much of that is left to
district.
develop? That was supposed to, I thought we were only like a quarter through that. Is that true?
There's a second phase that has not developed. The second phase plan to the north, it would require about the same amount of ground. I don't think it'd be as many units because there's a pretty significant floodplain immediately to the north.
But isn't there 4 phases to that, or is there only 2?
Not that I'm aware of. I think there are 2.
If you give us the direction to get this agreement done, we will dedicate ourselves, be reasonable, and get it worked out. That's our request.
For that.
And I am too, and I don't see how the packet would have to be reworked. We're not changing the plat. We're not changing anything with the planning commission in terms of approval. They approved the design, you know, the plat itself and the right-of-way designation. All we're looking at here is just adding an addendum to the existing agreement that would codify the obligations of both parties with regard to administration and build-out of the road.
And part of that, by execution, we'd agree to sign the plat after you accept the right-of-way.
I see this is pretty simple.
How is this any different, though, than what we just did with the Russell property? I mean, there was an intended use that we agreed to, and then the use got changed, and now they're asking, you know, no, I mean, it's I guess what I'm saying is, no one knows, except the owner, why he paid for the road in the first place, and the second, so that really doesn't involve us. That was your choice.
Have you ever tried to not pay assessments where you're not, you know, I can't remember exactly the configuration of the benefit district, but they become clouds on your land. I mean, that's a little bit of a shotgun wedding.
Yeah.
So that was totally, I mean, how did all that?
I can't remember. I can't recount the history. The point is, we did it.
Yeah.
And again, shy $100,000 of $1 million will be fully paid. I think I draw that distinction. I'm not being critical of anybody else. So again, we're ready to go to work.
The other big difference, I think, to Larry's point is, through that agreement, if I understand it the way Steve stated and what we've heard, we're not obligated in the least to build that road until either we're ready or they're ready.
Exactly.
And at that point, if they're ready before us, they build it on their dime, and then we just expand it out when it's time for us to do this.
Exactly.
Am I understanding that correctly?
Picking up
Exactly the way I understand it.
Does that sound right? Which seems like a very fair endeavor, I guess. Which part of my...
Except we don't have the money, right, to build the road?
Don't have to.
Right, but we don't have to.
We don't
Until we have the money unless, I mean...
We're not obligated to build the road.
If we still have the money and we don't want to develop that land out, we don't have to do anything past where they are, where they're going to pay for. And then if another developer comes in with another parcel of land that wants to develop that land, then they may have to pay for the road enhancement beyond that.
And if we get really lucky, and I guess all of us get lucky, and it just booms up and goes, you know what, you probably get off of a big chunk of the hook of having to build that road. But you know what, then people are doing deals, and we're on down the road.
So what is the recommendation then? Is it?
I think we want to hear probably from our engineering public works staff about building components to pad sites, and then we'll take whatever direction council wants to provide.
So a 30-day continuance is what everybody recommends?
Well, no, I think Brian is prepared to give you some comments tonight on
Oh, okay.
kind of, you know.
Well, speak to that.
Yeah, well, part of my concern is, when they build a private road, it does have to be built to public street standards,
Mhm.
which is 28 foot back of curb. But what we're talking about tonight is building segments. So that first pad site develops, and they build a 200 or 300 foot segment, and then they build another segment, and then they build another segment.
Mhm.
That's a very disjointed roadway. So from the public works perspective, that does create a concern for us. Better to build the road at once.
Do they dedicate each segment at the time that they?
Well, right now, they dedicate the right-of-way with the plat.
Mhm.
But
And
once
then if
the
they
right-
sell a pad site, you know, if the first pad site of 188 sells, they would build a 28-foot wide road down to the end of that pad site.
Which would be a public street, by the way.
Right.
We
It'd be
would
built to
build
public
the,
street
we build the
standards.
road to city standards, dedicate the street just like we always do. And by the way, sequential movement like that,
Happens all the time.
all the time.
It does. I've
Well,
seen
what's
that.
your,
Brian?
what, yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't remember on the plat how many pad sites there are, but if there's six pad sites along that road, that means I've got a quarter-mile road or half-mile road built in 6 segments.
Well, 3 segments, because they're on either side. So,
Well, again, the depth, but it's just something that, I'd get a better road if it was all built at one time.
When you say better, what do you mean?
Longer lasting. You can disagree, but I'd like to see the road built at one time, so I don't have all those joints in the roadway.
I think we've got consensus to continue it. And before we go with staff direction, I would like to get a little bit input, because I 100% agree with the road nomenclature, with the name of the road from a business perspective in Gardner. We're a grid system. Everybody knows the number of streets. Nobody knows the names of the streets. I didn't quite comprehend through the report what led to that name change.
So, we had originally, if you consider the road is a north-south leg of that road, at this point. So, the reason, it's probably not obvious that you would name it 191st Street, honestly, because it's a north-south segment of the road.
Right.
However, that's the way it was proposed to be named, at the Planning Commission.
Mhm.
That's what was recommended to the Planning Commission, on July 29th. There was testimony from, the neighboring property owner, expressing concern about that being named 191st Street. And if I understand correctly, that concern was that would predispose 191st Street to being realigned and cutting off direct access to Gardner Road from the property that's currently, it's the Casey Pumpkin Patch property. It's owned by the Radke Family Trust. And so that's the basis for changing the name. And at the time, Planning Commission asked staff our feelings about the name change, and quite honestly, we didn't feel it was that important at the time. The name can be changed, and if there is a study that will be done of the road network, that would be a good, that would be part of that consideration. I believe the name could be changed later. That's how that originated. I don't think it's that big of an issue, but.
And I mean, we've been talking about realignment of 191st and taking it up to 188th for 6 years, and I think that we were planning on bringing 191st north. We can't keep it in the existing configuration. It's not workable. I don't understand the concern. I just don't.
Well, like I said, I think we've got consensus to continue this. And is it consensus to move forward? Christie?
For me, it's to move forward with, accepting, dedicating the right of way, but having a contract that says they're not responsible for the road.
I agree with Christie.
Steve?
I'm completely in agreement.
Entertain a motion.